Hello everybody, welcome to my channel, and today we'll be looking at the Mcfarlane Batman Arkham Knight Scarecrow. However, I want to ask you guys a question. Do you prefer the Batman Arkham Asylum Scarecrow design or the Batman Arkham Knight Scarecrow design? Let me know in your comments. And with that said, let's get right into this. Starting off with articulation, Scarecrow has 360-degree head rotation and cannot maintain looking up or down with only slight head pivot and head tilt. Moving on to the arms, both of Scarecrow's arms go about this high up and can go almost all the way down on the right side. However, the left side tends to stick out more. They also both have bicep swivel and also double jointed elbows. When it comes to the hands, Scarecrow has ball jointed hands that can have horizontal hinge and also vertical hinge. Moving on to his torso, Scarecrow cannot turn 360 degrees around on his torso, as his body is restricted to the pipes that have been put onto the lower belt piece of this figure. However, he's able to go back about this much and only forward about this much, with it actually reversing back, so he can't really go forward that much. Moving on, Scarecrow can kick about this high up with his left foot and about this far back with the left foot. On his right foot, he's able to kick about this high up and this far back only. Moving on to his knees, Scarecrow has a double jointed knee on his right side. However, his left side is a single jointed knee due to this design of Scarecrow having a leg brace after the events of Arkham Asylum. Moving on to the feet. On his right side, Scarecrow actually has an ankle cut that allows his foot to move 360 degrees, as well as up this much and down this much, while still also maintaining toe articulation. On his left side, Scarecrow's foot is able to go down this much and only up about this much due to the design of the brace. In addition, the design of the brace also prevents him from having ankle pivot. However, he still does have toe articulation. When it comes to accessories, Scarecrow comes with the standard Mcfarlane DC Multiverse stand and also a DC Multiverse trading card. Here's the front of his trading card, and here's the back of the trading card. Pause now if you want to read the description. Now, I want to take a second to look at Scarecrow's sculpt because this figure is full of sculpt. Let's start off with his head. Starting off with his head, Scarecrow, compared to the games where he has a more white and almost blinding gray eye, he has orange eyes, which adds to his menacing look. I think he looks really cool. And if you look close enough, you can even see that there's teeth sculpted underneath his mask, which is accurate to the game. Moving on to the hood, turning his head around, you can see that all around his hood, there's a almost leathery texture to it. More like a sack texture, actually, with stitching going all around the figure. And if we even look at his noose has a dry brush onto it. Almost like a black wash or even like black dry brushing onto it that adds a lot of detail into the noose itself. I also like that this noose is also movable, as it's not just stuck to his neck. It's a completely separate piece that if you remove Scarecrow's head, you can actually take off. Here's also what it looks like underneath his vest. You can see that they even added the zipper, like buckles, all over his vest for his canisters of fear toxin. My really big complaint with this figure is that because it's molded in the color of black, a lot of the detail gets missed. Like this right here, the bicep swivel. This bicep swivel is actually hidden underneath a leather belt, which is different from from the other arm, as this arm is a different bicep swivel that's hidden more by a cloth look, making it look like it's more part of the stitching. But like I said earlier, this one is hidden by the leather piece. And I really like that. I just wish that it was painted so that way, the belt pieces would appear more. But let's take a look at the back. I really like this back piece here. Scarecrow has some canisters on his back, which almost reminds me of the McFarlane Bane because he has canisters on the back as well. And I like that McFarlane even went through the effort of painting the canisters with like the fear toxin. Although I do feel like it gets lost sometimes in the piping, as once you get to this point, it disappears. And also, moving on to the arms, Scarecrow has stitching that goes all the way around his arms. Even on the hinge right here for the elbow, the double jointed elbow joints, it even has stitching in there. I really like that. It shows a lot of effort that was put into this figure. And also, you can also, it's hard to see, but also on his forearm, this is a completely separate piece, almost like a glove compartment or just like some wrapping around his arms. But I think the real star is his poison or his toxin glove with the needles, as each strands are painted with the fear toxin orange. And it might be hard to see on camera, but there's ever so slightly difference in the glove, as the glove has almost like a metallic sheen to it almost. This is very light brush to it color that makes it almost look like a metal, like a bluish. However, a lot of this is also lost in the mold of it because the mold is all black. So right here, like the wiring and even this little almost like level indicator is lost because, just the mold of it, it just takes up a lot of it and there's not really any color separation. And another thing I noticed too is that Scarecrow's canisters on his mask, on his face, are also more of like almost like gunmetal and silver look to it too, with a lot of details with like the breathing hold and the breathing apparatus. I think it looks really nice. But moving on to his belt, you can also see that Scarecrow is wearing a belt. It even has a buckle and it has a bunch of pockets on it. However, like I said before, it's lost because of the black mold on it. So a lot of it is just there. You don't really notice it. And I just noticed right now that there's actually a rope piece right there. I didn't even notice that the first time looking through this Scarecrow. And as usual, there's stitching that goes all the way down to his coat, and I really like that. It really looks like he made this suit like for himself, or he just ripped off some leather from a bunch of areas and just stitched it together to make it his own. Also, there's piping or tubes that go down his pants as well, specifically with the right side as it goes down all the way to the back here, even going across the double jointed knees, going all the way to the back of his leg here, or at least his calf. And also, I like that the pants are a different color, or at least a different texture. You can definitely tell from the mechanics of the vest and almost like the burlap sack hoodie and the very stitched up arms to a more normal, almost a militaristic pants that Scarecrow is wearing underneath his suit. And the thing I also love is his leg brace. His leg brace, although it is lost due to the black molding of the figure, you can see that he has belts, and the belts are slightly different, with this one having a buckle right here, but this one being more of a straight leather and also having like some air holes in it. I also like that this knee also has like a knee pad on it for his brace compared to this one that's just a pants piece. Looking down too, you can even see that the brace works very well. It bends right where it's supposed to be and it looks fairly natural. The only part I don't like is the fact that when you bend Scarecrow's leg like this, it almost looks like the foot brace piece is separated. I kind of wish that McFarlane had done it where the brace was back here more so it would connect, just like on the leg right here. I think it would have looked really good. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that's a really minor complaint. And also moving on here, I played Arkham Knight several times, so I definitely remember Scarecrow's look. And although he was more of a brown coloring compared to this black, and like I said before, his eyes are different, I don't mind this look for it. But going here, you can see that underneath here is actually the end of a pants. Underneath here is actually supposed to be skin for Scarecrow. I think it would have been really nice if McFarlane had painted almost like the skin tone color on the fingers onto the leg here. It would have added some separation between the boot and the pants. But I personally don't mind because I just really like the sculpting of this Scarecrow. I also like that on his boots, both of his boots, you can see the leather stitching, and you can even see that there's an untied lace here. It looks really nice, and overall, I think this figure has really great sculpting. And for a McFarlane figure, I've always seen that McFarlane really likes doing sculpt on his figures. So I really like that he went through a huge effort to make the Scarecrow look very lively, almost like very detailed. And I'm definitely going to do a custom of this guy eventually in the future. For a Batman villain size comparison, here's Scarecrow next to the Three Jokers Clown and the Rebirth Joker, who can barely stand sometimes, but I managed to get him to stand this time. For a Batman comparison, here's Scarecrow next to my work in progress custom Batman from Batman Arkham Knight and the towering Three Jokers Batman. For a long, dark trench coat comparison, here's Scarecrow next to the Batman Who Laughs Sky Tyrant without his wings from the Merciless Build-A-Figure wave, and also the Death Metal Batman without his motorcycle this time. For a quick look, here's Scarecrow holding the Batman Death Metal scythe. I think, personally, that he looks pretty cool like this. However, his hand isn't able to hold as much as it's not proper gripping hand. For another scythe comparison, here's Scarecrow with the Jazzwares Fortnite scythe that came with a Fortnite figure. However, this scythe does not hold very well in his hands as his hand is not a proper gripping hand. Also, it looks way too small to be a scythe for Scarecrow. And here's Scarecrow next to some militaristic figures to replicate the Arkham Knight's militia from Batman Arkham Knight. And here's a recreation of the ending to Batman Arkham Knight, as Batman is being held hostage by the Scarecrow. Scarecrow is using a gun from a Marvel Legends figure, which I cannot pinpoint where the gun is from. And this is my personal Batman Arkham Knight Mcfarlane custom that I'm still working on. And the back piece, or at least the stand, is from the Marvel Select Colossus. Overall, I find the Mcfarlane Arkham Knight Scarecrow to be a brilliant figure. I love the sculpting, and while not completely accurate, I do really like the coloring, with some exceptions being many of the stitchings, some of the pockets, and even some of the canisters, as I wish that it popped out more. But I think that this is a brilliant Scarecrow figure, one of the best, at least in my collection. Disclaimer, I actually don't own any Scarecrow figures other than this one, so I have no idea why it said that. But I would say to definitely pick up this Scarecrow figure if you don't have any other ones in your collection. After all, it's not too bad of a pickup. If you like this video, please comment, like, subscribe, and if you're interested, drop a comment below on what do you think about my videos, what I can improve on it, and even what other figures you would like to see. I've been Figuristic Productions, and I'll see you all in the next one.